building costs in Roatan Honduras, and yes, you are in my kitchen and I am cooking, so I apologize for the mess, but I figured, hey, you can see the view and see it's, well, see, this is what it is. So building costs in Roatan Honduras, a lot of people, and this is for 2024, things are changing. Wood, maybe I will show you the tiny little pile of wood I just got for $1,000, where it's just like, I feel like it's just like the groceries, like you came out with a single bag and it's $100 versus, I don't know, that's how you used to leave Whole Foods 10 years ago. And now it's anywhere. I just spent $150 at Eldon's today. However, I digress. I didn't even really buy anything. I bought stuff for dog food, which is what I'm cooking. So cost to build. So builders are going to give you quotes between anything like, it's going to be at least $100 a square foot. I'm going to say it's going to be closer to 130 to, well, the sky's the limit on that. And that's going to be for a wood house. If you want a concrete house, I would add 30% onto everything that I'm saying. It used to, well, wood's just gotten really expensive. The tiny amount of wood I got, it's like no kidding, or no wonder the prices for everything are really high. However, some things to think about. You're gonna get a base price, just like if you're looking at a new construction, like in the United States, that you get, this one price and then it ends up closing about 30% higher. Very, very similar in Honduras. You're gonna get a base price, but that base price is probably not going to include things like white mahogany cabinets or a fume hood or a stove, kitchen sink. Well, actually, this faucet, the kitchen sink, things like that are not going to be included. These handles were not actually included in the bid. So there are going to be a lot more expenses than what you are getting quoted for. I can tell you I'm almost completed with this project, and if you've seen the tours, there's lots of videos. I'll do a quick tour. The house is a disaster. I just had children in it. I've got a 6 and 8-year-old who have lots of friends, which is wonderful for island life, and friends that can just come over all the time. Also makes for my house to be a disaster all the time, but anyway, I digress. So you're looking at least $130 a square foot. If you're doing concrete, I'm actually building a concrete house next. That's gonna be around 2,400 square feet with a 1,200 square foot footprint. And I am anticipating around, well, I'm expecting that to come out at $325,000 with an oopsie of about $150,000. Now, with that said, I always give my budget. I don't ever give my real budget. But I'm telling the builder the budget is, and if you're listening, now you know, $300,000. I'm expecting it to be $350,000 to build basically a 2,400 square feet house that is concrete, and we are going to have some really grand ceilings in there, which is wonderful for vanity and heat. So we're gonna play both of those cards, but at the end of the day, it's just these beautiful Honduran ceilings that, well, if you've seen this house, you've seen them upstairs in the bedrooms. We have about 15 to 20 feet up there, which is, well, the bedrooms are actually really cool. Then again, I digress again. So cost of building and some things to think about. So at least $130 to $160 a square foot, depending on what you get. I will also say not all builders are equal. Not all builders have the supply chain that is equal. So $130 a square foot for one builder could look drastically different from the $130 square foot from a different builder. And it's just, the supply chain is supply chain anywhere can be kind of very difficult, but we live on a beautiful island, which means we don't really get anything here, which means we have to bring it all in. And so it's also the builder's connections to the mainland, or any of the C4 countries, which are mostly Central America, or heck, if you want to start importing Carrara marble from Italy, which we do, or get that travertine, get all of those things over from Europe or South America, you certainly can. It's going to cost you a heck of a lot more than $160 a square foot. And if you have seen my home tours, the showers, we got Carrara marble like tile, and I ended up actually using porcelain tile instead of even real stone because it looks so good. And for the price, I was like, this costs like 20% of what I was expecting. Yoink, I'm gonna take that. And I would probably got 80% of the look. Like, you can tell it's not real Carrara marble, But I don't know. I have a 6 and 8-year-old that, I don't know, they would mess it up. They would put something on that beautiful marble and it would stain it forever. And that tile, it cleans up really nice. So again, I digress. So if you're thinking about building, a couple other things to keep in mind above the $130 to $160 a square foot, wood versus concrete, is there's a lot of things that aren't included, just like all those little items that I just talked about in the kitchen, where I probably paid an extra, well, I can tell you I paid over $30,000 for the mahogany, the wood, the white mahogany that I have. Now I put it in a lot of places. If I'm gonna be honest, I didn't realize how much I actually bought because I got really excited and put it everywhere. But it's one of the nice things about Roatan. You can kind of, well, I thought that was a super splurge because I've never really been able to afford real wood accents regularly through a house, especially in Colorado, where the cost per square foot in Boulder County is over $400 a square foot. You might get quotes at $350, but it's closer to $400. So have I confused you yet with all of these numbers? This is what goes on in my head every single day. I was looking at all the cost per square foot, and with me building so much, I'm doing at least 1 to 2 houses a year, and it's just, well, numbers. So there's going to be lots of additional things in your home that are not included, and the biggest ones, I mean, these cabinets are not always included, so you want to make sure you watch for that. Any of the appliances, those are not going to be included, including your AC units. It is very popular to do split units in Roatan because it is very AC. Well, AC is very expensive, electric is very expensive, and you're looking at between, at least the lowest I've seen is 32 cents or as high as 45 cents per kilowatt, and it depends on where you're at on the island. And so your mini splits or your central air, that's gonna cost you, I think my units, I paid between $5,000 and $6,000 for 3 units. Now I did the ultra energy efficient ones, the Comfort Star. I'm looking at it right now, so that's what I did. I was like, that's what I thought I paid. Well, that's what I paid for. So, well, that's another thing. Make sure you get what you pay for. But like my cistern, and all new builds, to get a permit, you do have to have a cistern, so you do need to collect that rainwater. There's a few exceptions, but depending on where you're at, or if you can tap into the city like West End water or something of that nature in some more established communities. But if you're new build, new construction, you are more likely than not gonna have to have a cistern. My cistern cost around $40,000, maybe $35,000. All said and done, and that's the materials were around $18,000, and then the labor was $22,000 for that. So that is something, and that's not a small amount of money. It's 22,000 gallons. It will serve 2 houses and a pool. That's the reason why we built it that way. I believe the minimum in the permitting is 8,000 gallons for a single family house. So just, you know, lots of expenses. I also have a septic that costs around $16,000 that, once again, is meant for 2 houses, and I think eight total bathrooms, around, I don't know, 5. It's 5 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms. So that's one of the reasons why my prices are a little bit high if you're considering a 1,600 square foot house, which is what we're standing in right now. And those are the 2 biggest, but then you also have your parking structures, things of that nature. My parking structure was $35,000, all in addition to the quote that I got for my house, which was about $168,000. And to just get this footprint, I'm looking at $350,000. Did you see that jump? $168,000 quote for a house, but I've actually spent $350,000. Holy shnikes, I did a few whiplashes too. So lots of things to think about. If you ever have any questions, my door is always open. I'm happy to chat, or the builders are usually very happy to chat, but they might, you know, we're in sales, I'm a realtor. Of course it's gonna be a great idea. Maybe. But you have to just think about things. Or mirrors. I ended up spending around $2,500 on mirrors, actually more than that, because I did a couple floor length custom mirrors with the white mahogany. Yeah, I'm telling you, I did get really excited about the white mahogany because I found a carpenter that just did such a good job, so I ended up doing furniture. I went overboard, and then I saw the budget, and I was just like, oh, my bad. It happens. It's white mahogany instead of Louis Vuitton. So we all have our things. Let's see, go back to like wood. The wood doors are not always included. Things they can trickle very quickly. And so when I say $130 a square foot, my original quote was $102 a square foot to build that 1,600 square foot house, $168,000 quote, and we're closing it out at around $350, which also includes landscaping. Landscaping I spent around $5,000 on. If I had sourced it locally in Roatan, I probably would have spent close to 15 to 20. I went to the farms on the mainland, which does save a good bit of money, but it also takes a lot more work, a lot more patience, a lot more Spanish, and just knowing how to navigate and a lot of logistics that isn't always as easy. Something else is furniture is also quite expensive. So to furnish your beautiful house, and while I'm doing that, you can see that I made, dog food. I'm making myself soup behind that. But you can see all of the, let's see, there we go. So you can see this house, will eventually be a rental house. Don't mind all the mess, but you can see, I think this is all really nice high-end items. However, I'd say you can do it for a little bit cheaper, but actually no, I really don't think you can, because of the different, unless you have really, really great connections, it's going to be very, very difficult to get cheaper prices. Cheaper, maybe $120 a square foot is the cheapest. But anyway, I digress. There's a lot of things. Look at this beautiful art. I have a lot of ADD today. Maybe I had too much caffeine. I've been drinking yerba mate, which is local here. It's delightful. A beautiful artist named Angel over in French Harbor makes these beautiful mosaics that I'm so excited whenever I see them, and I just got a turtle and an eagle ray. So thank you for listening to me for 12 minutes talking about Roatan pricing and your, 130 to 160 plus a bunch of other things that, doubled my build costs. That, it's always good to know ahead of time.